For 11 years, Marcus Ellison answered, not always immediately. Sometimes he made them wait a day, 2 days, long enough that it wouldn't look automatic, but he always answered. That was the arrangement, even though nobody had ever said so out loud. It existed the way certain things exist in families, through repetition, through the absence of pushback, through the slow accumulation of precedent until precedent becomes law. The requests had a rhythm. They arrived in waves, usually around the third week of the month when other options had been exhausted. They came through WhatsApp, occasionally Facebook Messenger, once through a handwritten note passed via his mother as though she were a postal service with opinions. They were never phrased as demands. That was important to everyone involved. They were phrased as situations. Marcus, I find myself in a situation. The amounts varied. The tone never did. He wasn't wealthy. That was the part people seemed to genuinely not understand, or perhaps chose not to. He was an operations manager for a logistics firm in Cincinnati. He had a pension, a modest savings account, and a discipline around spending that his family had always interpreted as abundance. If Marcus had money left at the end of the month, the reasoning went, then Marcus had money. February came with a heating bill that arrived like a small act of hostility and a car repair he'd deferred twice already. He did the arithmetic twice, then a third time. The number didn't change. He typed the message carefully. Hey everyone. Just a heads up, I'm not going to be able to help out this month. Things are a bit tight on my end. Hope everyone manages okay. He sent it to the main family group, 17 members, at 11:14 on a Tuesday morning. Then he put his phone face down on his desk and went back to work. By Thursday, he'd received 2 thumbs up emojis and nothing else. He'd expected something, concern maybe, or irritation dressed as concern. What he hadn't expected was the specific quality of the silence, how total it was, how immediate. He scrolled back through months of chat history that weekend, not out of self-pity but out of something closer to scientific curiosity. His contributions to group had been almost entirely financial in nature, forwarded bank details, confirmation messages. Sent his birthday in October had produced 4 responses. His cousin Derek's dog had produced 11. He sat with this information for a while. It didn't devastate him the way he might have expected at 30. At 41, it landed differently, less like a wound, more like a diagnosis he'd suspected for years finally confirmed in writing. His mother called on a Saturday 3 weeks after the message. She didn't ask how he was. She started in the middle, the way she always did, as though the conversation had been running in her head for so long that she assumed he'd been present for the earlier parts. The family was frustrated, she said. There was a feeling, she used that word carefully, feeling that Marcus had some distant, that he'd pulled back, that this wasn't like him. He listened from his kitchen, watching snow move sideways past the window. I had a tight month, Mom. I know. But you didn't have to make an announcement about it. He understood then that the message had been the offense, not the absence of money that could be forgiven, managed around, absorbed. It was the visibility of his limits that had caused the problem. He had made the invisible structure visible, and that was the thing that couldn't be forgiven. Okay, he said. Is that all you're going to say? I think so. Yeah. She waited for more. He didn't offer it. They said goodbye in the careful way people do when they're preserving something neither of them is sure still exists. That afternoon he drove to a different bank, not the one his direct deposit fed into, not the one his mother knew the name of, and opened a new savings account. He didn't tell anyone. There was nothing to announce. It was a private structural decision made by a man who had finally understood the difference between being generous and being load-bearing. The months that followed were quieter than he'd anticipated, not painful, just quiet, the way a room is quiet after furniture has been moved out of it. He noticed he had more at the end of the month. He noticed he checked his phone less. He started cooking on Sundays again, something he'd stopped doing years ago without registering that he'd stopped. In July, a message came through LinkedIn. It was from his cousin Renee, Derek's older sister, someone he hadn't spoken to in 2 years. She'd found his professional profile. The message was warm in the way messages are warm when they need something. The warmth slightly ahead of the ask, like a running start. She needed a reference, she said, or a contact. She'd heard his firm was hiring in the warehouse division. He read it twice. Then he clicked on her profile, noted that they had 3 mutual connections, and closed the app. He didn't block her. He didn't reply. He simply let the message sit in his inbox the way her read receipts had once sat in his. Seen, acknowledged internally, left unanswered. There was no satisfaction in it. That surprised him most. He'd imagined, in a vague way, that this kind of moment would feel like something. Instead, it felt like bookkeeping, like drawing a clean line at the bottom of a column and writing the final total without ceremony. He made dinner. He ate it at his own table. Outside, the summer moved slowly through the neighborhood, unhurried, indifferent. The way time moves when you've stopped spending it on the wrong things. The ledger was closed. Nobody sent flowers. He hadn't expected any.